What is happening, you guys? It's your boy LDAWB coming at you with a new video. And today, we are going to continue on with the Capcom legacy artist, the artist that has impacted me specifically. I've already talked about Aquino, I've talked about Edion, and today I just want to continue that with Mr. Daigo Ikeno, who is very much known for his work, in my opinion, of Street Fighter 3, Third Strike, and EX, Street Fighter EX Plus, and a couple of more things that I'll share with you. But I still want to really commemorate these artists. I think the purpose of these videos is to illustrate how much influence that these artists have on me, and hopefully this is not too boring. This is a little informative, and hopefully this will help you and you be inspired as well. So yes, today is Daigo Ikeno. We're going to pay close attention to Mr. Daigo Ikeno. And where should I start with? Basically it started with rival schools. Here's a picture of Shoma looking very sad. But I remember rival schools being not only introduction to Edion, but the introduction to Daigo, because there was definitely a shift. His work was very much more lively. They weren't as cartoony as Edion's work, and it was more lifelike, and he had some painted aesthetics with his coloring and his line work and whatnot. So that was basically when I first got to know him. And then fast forward to Street Fighter EX. Now EX1 was done by Bengus, the character designs anyway, but EX2 Plus was a shift, and it basically him in full form in EX2 Plus, and definitely the same formulaic style as Bengus, but the coloring was different, because now you're showing coloring from both sides. And I'm talking about these specific character illustrations, predominantly some of his illustration work, but it was majorly in the lighting that really was dynamic for me. And this is probably one of my favorite illustrations done by him. Classic Ryu and Sagat looking at each other, and just again playing with the dynamic lighting. And this was kind of one of the first times that I've actually seen his take on Ryu probably done. And I know this is kind of I'm not sure if this is like disrespectful, because I don't want to be disrespectful, but Daigo, in my opinion, has the perfect Ryu face. As you can see here, he did also the character illustrations, or the character select pictures here on EX3, majorly done in 3D. But I really love his painting style, his line work style, and his form. He has good form, and I love the weight of everything. So anyway, let's fast forward to the real introduction. Now, I had no idea who this man was. I saw his illustration, but enter Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. This was my real introduction to Mr. Daigo, and to those who know this game, this really has no need for any introduction, because yes, they are using sketches and stills, but with the music, it still was a mind-blowing intro. This was my real intro to him, learning what his name was first of all, and then just doing a character study of his work. And this is when I figured out who he was, and then I backtracked and found out about EX. But now these illustrations were introduced to me rather, and I'm going through this really quickly, in an instruction manual that was black and white. It wasn't in color. So I really wanted to emulate the painted aesthetic of his work, specifically like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. This was when I was wanting to capture the essence of that and really experiment, and at the same time learn, because I didn't really know how to paint. And I think this is Daigo, out of all the Capcom artists, really taught me how to paint, because I was introduced to the 2D aesthetic. But this was like, okay, I want to capture the realism of this and emulate him. And so obviously these these shots are going super fast, but I just want you guys to see how much I studied just his flow, his form, his coloring, his pencils. This illustration of Akuma is legendary in my opinion. But I was hooked. After this game, I was completely hooked on his style. And unbeknownst to me, there was another game that came out called Onimusha, and it was a samurai zombie Resident Evil like game, and he did illustrations for that too. And he wasn't really doing some of the pencils, well, obviously with the exception of this picture with Samanosuke. He still kept the visage of that painted look, and I'm telling you, I really, when he did this, and this was right after Street Fighter, when he did this, I was like, okay, I have to make my illustrations just like this. And there was a big phase in my life that happened. So anyway, then he did Street Fighter 4, and I found out that he was the character lead for Street Fighter 4. And this one was interesting because I felt that this was his most rawest, I'm not sure what the word is called, but it's not as structured as Street Fighter 3, but it was more loose. And I think because Street Fighter 4 was trying to capture the same feel of the artwork into 3D, because this was a significant jump. This was the first 3D Street Fighter. I think in terms of form, I think that the game captured his form correctly. But I think the game wasn't capturing his artwork the best way possible. Obviously there were limitations in the graphic engine, but I think that Street Fighter 4 was more of the 3D, more of wanting to capture what was successful in Street Fighter 2, and all that jazz. But obviously he's done works. Here's a picture of Devil May Cry 5, but he's done Devil May Cry 3, I believe, and 4. So I can't just go without acknowledging that he's done stellar works for that, going with the painted style and whatnot. So all in all, I think in terms of influence, I can't really put this illustrator above Edion. I think Edion, Daigo, and Bengus are all in the same level in terms of influence, and this one was one of my favorite illustrations done by him, and this really kind of epitomizes his style. But I really appreciate his artistic painted style. I think it was very bold and very painted and very formulaic. So all that to say, I have to say, out of all the Capcom artists that I've seen, in terms of being in the public and seeing interviews, I've seen him the most out of all of them. And I will say that he doesn't. I appreciate the fact that he is not on par with Akimen and Kinu and Bengus. I've heard him refer to them as sensei, and I respect that. That tells me that he does respect them to a degree, and as an artist, it's important to really respect your foundation. But I honestly think he's on par with them. I think that when he talks like that, he's downplaying his ability. He's downplaying his work to them, and I think his work is on par with them, if I may be bold to say, and as an appreciator of his work, and Kinu's and Bengus's and Acumen's. But Daigo Ikeno, you are a legend, and I want you to know that you are amazing, just as amazing as they are. Thank you, and I hope to see more artworks from you soon. And that's it. Daigo, thank you, and thank you for watching. Catch y'all later. Peace.